Namaste. Let's make our way to a cross-legged position on the floor or in our own beds. Taking some time to get comfortable, perhaps through some shoulder rolls, some movements through the neck and head. And then we'll lengthen the spine perpendicular to the floor. So that we can begin to focus on the breath. Checking in with the nasal passageway to see if it's clear today. We can draw the breath in and out of the body through the nose. You may choose to close the eyes and draw the gaze within. And just come into some stillness in the body and the mind now. We'll take our concentration exclusively onto the breath, really observing it, intentionally creating it as it flows in and out of the body. Some of us may choose to be quite active in this shape. You could engage in the core muscles to close the energy gateways that live along the spine. By closing these gateways, it will actually help to open other gateways. So when we learn to close the pelvic floor, drawing the abdominal muscles in to close the navel, and then learning to create Ujjayi Pranayam to close the esophagus, will free up the passageway for the energy and prana to move up and down the spine through the chakra system. Preparing to transition into some movement, we might move through the shoulders now, keeping the eyes open or closed. You might enjoy drawing the shoulders towards the spine for a moment before once again lengthening and then preparing to exhale into a forward fold. Inhaling always as we lengthen the spine, and exhaling as we melt into the stretch of the hips, the lower back. In our Yin practice, we learn to engage in stillness. The shapes that we make with the body will reveal our tightnesses and our weaknesses through these long holds. And so some discomfort may naturally arise. But we will learn to transition the discomfort into our release, if we can take our breath with us, our will and determination to calm and quiet the mind too, and then our natural awakening to being in the present moment while we breathe. And this is how we'll learn instead to deepen our relaxation through the release of the tension that we're experiencing, so that we can cleanse and heal the body. Transitioning out of this shape, perhaps on an inhale breath, we might enjoy sitting up into some shoulder rolls before we transition to our second side. We've already opened up the body on the first side, but as we cross the legs in a now unusual perhaps position, some new weaknesses and challenges, tightnesses may be revealed. And so that's why I had to sit up out of this shape after I forward folded, so that I could increase the height of my blanket support underneath my forehead. And that helped immensely with my ability to surrender into this shape and into the present moment of this shape with my breath. Bringing the arms forward to help ourselves inhale out of the shape or fold. And we will get to extend the legs for some relief if the knees or hips are feeling any tension. You might want to wiggle through the ankles, the toes, the feet. And maybe another moment to bring the arms back behind you to help draw the shoulders behind you as well. Then we want to focus on the shoulders widening apart as we lengthen the spine and engage the core gently and exhale into a forward fold. Many of us may be in a full restorative surrender in this shape. Feeling comfortable to fully ragdoll the body here if you need to. Some of us might not be relaxed enough to surrender to that deep opening in the body. And so that's where a blanket could be helpful, or pillow too. Something folded underneath the head here, between the head and the legs. And when I transitioned into this shape, immediately I was able to quiet the mind and really come back to the breath as I held this shape with my body. Paschimottanasana means west side stretch. This is referring to the west side of the body. So, the west side of the body being the back side of the body, from the crown of the head all the way to the heels, or you could say the soles of the feet, following along the spine from the rear of our body. And the west reference comes from is part of the understanding that the front side of our body is the east side. And this comes from the awareness that when we practice our sun salutations, we face the sun. We face the rising sun in the east, and we're said to be facing it with the east side of our being. We're going to get ready to inhale out of this shape if you haven't already. Some self-massage through the quadriceps can feel good here. And then we'll try to spiral over into a tabletop position to move through some cat-cow tilt of the spine. You can choose how dynamic you'd like to be now, moving very deeply into these shapes or more shallowly. And then I'm going to get us ready for pigeon. We'll start on the left side. You can see that I draw my knee forward, but let my foot come back on a diagonal towards the right hip or knee. The more pronounced the diagonal, the safer it may be to start out with in that alignment. And then as you start to open the hip and the side on the left side, you can start to crawl the toes forward towards the front edge of the mat any amount to deepen the stretch, and that's going to take you out of that diagonal. Many of us may be supported with the arms at this time, and many of us may need a blanket or a pillow under the head in this pose as well. You might take some time to relax here, to truly find stillness and ease and peace. Remembering that you can always come out early if you need to. slowly and evenly in through the nose as we prepare to transition. Maybe wiggling through the fingers of the toes and then using the arms to support you as you lift up out of the stretch and come back to tabletop position. Maybe you'll move through the hips, wagging the tail. And then we'll get ready for our second side. So I'm stepping the right knee forward, allowing the foot to fall on a diagonal towards the left thigh, the front of the left thigh, the front of the left hip or thigh or knee. And then you saw how I took the breath, so we can use the arms to gently prepare us to forward fold. And then here at the start of the practice, I wasn't quite ready to bring my head towards the floor. So I started out by bringing my forehead towards my hands, creating a pillow for the third eye to rest on. And then when I was ready, I slowly slid the hands away and brought the forehead towards the floor. There's this feeling of surrender as we just breathe and be here now. The body will open. It will release. And if we have that proper state of relaxation, we've cleared the physical alignment through our posture awareness and also through our meditation and our sound therapy. And so now we can come into the full benefits of being in a pose for a long hold with our deep breaths. We always want to come back to the breath in this practice. Inhaling slowly and evenly in through the nose. And exhaling slowly and evenly out through the nose. Tension in the hips are melting now. As we prepare to come out of this side, we'll use our breath to inhale to sit-up position, and then we can actually spiral that back left leg forward so that we can prepare to lay onto our backs. I explored some movement when I came to the floor, drawing the knees into the chest, and then exploring placing the feet down in the bridge posture alignment so that I could move through the hips and warm up the lower back. Getting ready for a long hold in a supported bridge pose. So you could choose to hold this without any support, but it'll be best with blankets or pillows, sweatshirts or towels, whatever you've got, folded up and placed underneath the sacrum. And then you'll see here, I'm extending my legs forward, though that's optional, and receiving a wonderful opening in the front side of the body, particularly the front of the hips and the quads. We really get to open here in a way we haven't yet through this practice, as we've been focusing so much on forward folding. Now we get to give the front of the hips a break. And we send our breath there, and we'll feel it gently releasing as we breathe. Inhaling slowly and evenly in through the nose, and exhaling slowly and sweetly out through the nose. We'll transition out of this shape by rebending the knees if they're not already. And then we'll lift the feet off the floor, maybe one at a time, and lift the feet up to the ceiling for a supported yin shoulder stand. You can see that this posture is not placing any trauma, weight, pressure on the neck or on the shoulders. They're completely open and able to lengthen and expand. We safely have the hips perhaps on a very low height, but still lifted so that they're higher than the heart. And of course, we have a vertical line through the legs as the feet lift up towards the sky. And in this way, in a very gentle and yin way, we will receive the full benefits of an inversion through the long hold, so that we can fully cleanse through the blood as it flows from the head to the toes and back again. In a yin way, the heart still has to work to pump its oxygenated blood up to those toes and then back down towards the head. And so even in this gentle way, we receive the benefits of cleansing the heart, working it in a sweet and yin way that will help us to invert the body so that we can bring new awareness into the feet and also into the shoulders, neck, and head. Inhaling slowly and evenly in through the nose, and exhaling slowly and sweetly out through the nose. We're going to move through the feet as we bend through the knees and draw the knees back in towards the chest now. We'll have to bring the feet to the floor to help lift the hips up to move any blankets out of the way. And now we're going to get ready to really surrender to stillness and ease in Savasana. Please consider any supports so that you can fully be here in stillness. Maybe you place blankets or pillows underneath the thighs, knees, or feet. You can also bend at the knees if you need to. If there's any tension in the lower back here. Here we can still focus on our deep and sound breathing, or our Ujjayi pranayam. We might choose, or we might experience that the breath is beginning to shallow now naturally, so that there are actually very little movements in your body. Allowing the body to be here now, but also to let go, melting and releasing fully all the muscles that form the body. We have fully come into the parasympathetic state now, that we have found stillness in the body, the mind, and even the breath. Now that we aren't moving the body, stretching the body, relieving the body, we can let the breath shallow so that there's very little movement in the body. It doesn't have to focus on a deep inhale at this time, as we are truly finding stillness so that there is very little movement occurring in the body. Perhaps in our stillness of Savasana, we'll be able to find so much stillness in the body that we are able to disconnect from our sense of being in this physical form. Some of us may be able to understand a sense of self as separate from this physical form. That sense of self that's separate from the mind. That sense of self that we find when there is finally peace within.